Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Rarely do I get outraged when I watch NBA games, but the Clippers are clearly making me outraged because what Vinny Del Negro is doing is completely backwards. And Chris Paul is helping and only helping to balance out some of the bad system things they have in place. Decision making, defense, real big problem here. And I feel like they're destined for mediocrity. They're on a 6-game road trip now, and I'm not so sure they're going to win any of those games without a better system in place. Ricky Rubio is going to be sensational. However, they can't play Ridnour and Rubio together, and if you go to bballbreakdown.com and read our companion piece, you'll see some really interesting statistics that will back that assertion up. So, let me show you what I saw from last night's game between the Clippers and the Timberwolves. The Clippers started the game as the Blake Griffin show, demonstrating he can score from anywhere on the floor. Here he'll do a beautiful up and under on Pekovic as he does a nice ball fake, has a guy go by and finishes off both feet. Running the pick and roll with Chris Paul, watch how he can dive to the basket and use his athletic ability to get right to the rim and finish strong. He loves to hang around the weak side of the basket, and when the penetration happens, he can catch the ball. Beautiful fake on that and a good finish. On sideline pick and rolls, when teams try and force Chris Paul to the corner, Blake Griffin can pop out and hit the 18-footer. Chris Paul has also shown the ability to find Blake Griffin on the perimeter, and he's been able to knock down that shot with some sort of regularity. Sometimes Blake Griffin gets in trouble with his footwork on the post. You'll see here too many dribbles in place, almost losing it when he starts the move finally, and he goes off 1 foot with his back to the basket while he's in the air. It's a testament to his athletic ability that he can still make that shot with a foul, even though the foul is kind of dubious to me. Again, interesting footwork in the post as he faces up on a nice pivot, goes to the basket, but watch how he's actually in the air backwards when he shoots it. Very unorthodox. And on this spin move, I'm convinced if he would just bring his right foot around and go off 2 feet, he would score that every time. Watch the value of the repost. When Luke Ridnour comes over to double team from 1 pass away, when Griffin gives up the ball, the defense has to rotate around, otherwise it's a legal D, and then Blake Griffin gets a one-on-one attempt, ISO against Love. Some problems with Blake Griffin's free throws. Notice that his palm is too flat on the ball, there's not enough space, you should be able to get 2 fingers in there. There's also a problem with the rhythm on his free throw. Watch how he's going to pause before he releases. You see that? It interrupts his momentum. And lastly, look at his left hand. There's too much action with his left thumb and it doesn't stay up there on the follow through. Rick Adelman is up to his same old tricks on offense with beautiful high post action. Here they'll do a little bit of a pinch post back to a screen. Pekovic should not be ducking in there because DeAndre Jordan, his man, could come over and block that shot. Bad spacing. Speaking of Pekovic, he's been a revelation this year on the block. He isn't much of an athlete, but boy is he a bruiser. He'll back you down, he's got decent footwork, and can finish when he's under control at the rim. More Timberwolves offense, lots of movement, high post action, all really good stuff, particularly because it makes it hard for the defense to shade to one side or the other, giving his players ample opportunity to isolate and get good shots. Here Kevin Love can face up and just knock down that jumper. Chris Paul was much more of a scorer this game than an assist man. Here going coast to coast because Rubio wasn't there in time. And again, Rubio assumes that Pekovic is there to help him out. Pekovic has to guard his own man, and there's a layup for Chris Paul. With Barea guarding CP3, it looked like Chris Paul was in a shoot-around. No help side defense at all on the Wolves. Here they'll isolate in the high post and let Chris Paul go to work. While it appears it was a flop, JJ Barea is definitely known for that. On the replay, you'll see Chris Paul throw that arm and get space, but he's home and they won't give him that call. The Clippers like to set multiple ball screens for Chris Paul, and I want you to see just how bad Kevin Love is on this defensive play. He can't sink that low and let Chris Paul get right to the basket. Here's a big problem I have with the Clipper offense. Chris Paul feeds the post and just stands there on the perimeter. If he cuts through and goes to the weak side corner, when they swing it around off a double team, he could break his man down. Instead, he's just one little relegated passer out of this whole thing, and Randy Foye gets to shoot it. They're lucky to get a putback, but imagine if Chris Paul gets to the basket and throws an alley-oop. Let's talk about our old friend Mo Williams, shall we? Here he gets the ball against Luke Ridnour and just gets ripped. Really embarrassing. Here comes the fast break. Watch this beautiful pass fake by Ricky Rubio that leads to an and one. Make sure to visit bballbreakdown.com for our companion piece to this breakdown, because I think playing Rubio and Ridnour together is really hurting Rubio's creativity and the team. We have some really compelling plus-minus information that'll show you that by playing Ricky Rubio and Luke Ridnour together, the team is suffering, getting outscored more often than it's getting scores. Rubio needs to be the primary point guard with a good shooting guard that can finish. The point guards guarding Ridnour can sag and clog the lane, and Rubio can't attack a guy who's smaller than him and make those exciting plays. Speaking of exciting plays, check out these drives and really fancy dishes with Ridnour on the bench. JJ Barea at least fills a little bit more of that shooting guard role where they got to pay attention to him more and it spaces the floor. He still will do nice plays with Ridnour in as well, but I definitely think it hinders the team's progress and Rubio's creativity. Look at that find. Great find, great shot by Beasley. A single double from Michael Beasley leads to a curl by Derek Williams on the left side of the court. He gets right to the middle because Blake Griffin doesn't take it away, and he finishes. The Clipper defense isn't organized enough to be considered an elite team. Watch the rotation on the high pick and roll. Caron Butler is going to hesitate instead of running out to the three-point shooter who's having a big game. Derek Williams was unconscious, and yet Kmart doesn't close out fast enough on this high pick and roll, and even though he gets in his face, it's a rainbow. He's got a lot of confidence. Splash. And even when Kenyon Martin did a good job on him, you'll see Derek Williams do an individual instruction move, through his leg, pull back, pull up, and one. Jeez. On the replay, look how foolish Kenyon Martin looks on that crossover. Down 5 in the fourth quarter, inexplicably Blake Griffin is not playing yet. They ISO on Barea and get a shot for CP3, but Chris Paul is way too slow picking up Barea, and that forces Kenyon Martin to pick him up, and CP3 has got to guard Derek Williams. This is a very bad matchup for the Clippers and crucial as Derek Williams, sky high in confidence, gets a foul. After 2 Clipper three-point misses and Blake Griffin not in the game still, Kenyon Martin looks even more foolish against Derek Williams. Needing a basket in the worst way, out of a timeout, Vinny Del Negro calls for a sideline screen and roll. But what he doesn't understand is that he's taking Chris Paul out of the play. The Wolves force him to the corner, and he has to pass the ball, leaving Caron Butler on the weak side wide open. Having not made a shot all game, the Wolves are more than happy to have him get the swing pass and shoot a jumper. It works out okay because they get the rebound and putback. Finally getting Blake Griffin back in the game, they do the same play, and watch how slow Derek Williams is rotating, and they have to foul. But that's okay for the Wolves because Blake Griffin is a terrible free throw shooter. Desperate for a stop on defense, they put Caron Butler severely undersized against Michael Beasley, who's having an amazing game. So the Wolves ISO against Butler on the right side and let Beasley go to work. No double or help, and he hits a fadeaway shot. Desperate for another bucket down 9, they hit Blake Griffin in the post. He wants to repost, but Mo Williams ignores that and goes to the basket, and this makes him 0 for 10 for the game. Caron Butler is still guarding Michael Beasley, and he falls asleep on the out-of-bounds play, gets stuck on the wrong side of that screen, and Beasley gets a layup of all things, which just about ices the game. The game is on the line. Minnesota is up 11 points under 5 minutes. So they get a switch on a screen and roll, and there's Chris Paul pulling up for a mid-range jumper. The kind of shot he makes often. However, he misses, but they get the offensive rebound, almost to a pick and roll, but instead give Blake the ball on top, and he gets deep penetration. Here's a chance for Caron Butler, who hasn't made a shot all game, to make the right play with 14 seconds to go on the clock. Yeah, hit Chris Paul on top and let him run the play. Instead, he misses another jumper, and the game is over. So there you have it, sports fans. Vinny Del Negro is not the coach for the Clippers to get them to the next level. I think they're simply going to be a good team that's going to overachieve until they can get a better system in place that gets them better shots, smarter shots, and a better defensive scheme. That said, I am going to the Sloan MIT Sports Conference this weekend, and I'll be tweeting from there, so make sure to follow us at B-Ball Stores because I know I'm going to see some really cool things and learn a lot of great stuff from guys like Mark Cuban and Jeff Van Gundy and a lot of really nerdy but really smart statistical people. So make sure to keep your eye on that, and we'll be doing some video stuff from there, and we'll either post it while I'm there or as soon as I get back. And thanks for joining us. Don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, it's not a channel, it's a conversation. You in?